So let's get into it, and we'll start things off with the Goodell head scale. So every rumor that we talk about will have a certain amount of heads or the absence of Goodell heads. 0 Goodell heads means, well, that rumor is fake news. 1 Goodell head, small shred of truth. 2 Goodell heads, people are talking. 3 Goodell heads, more probable than not, to use the terminology from the Wells Report, Tom. And 4 Goodell heads, we're calling that fact news.
The opposite of fake news.
There you go. So let's get into rumor number 1. Jarvis Landry to test free agency, Tom.
The longer this goes on, the more likely I think Landry might not just test free agency. The more I think he might just outright leave. And Landry and the Dolphins don't really seem to be getting along. There's been quite a bit of media talk here as well. We're giving this one 3 Goodell heads because I do think it's more probable than not that he ends up testing free agency at the very least. Landry, there's more or less war within the media, the negotiating through the media. Landry accused one Miami Herald reporter of having stuff come right from the front office and saying that Landry wasn't running his routes well and trying to lower his value. Landry wants a lot of money. He likes Miami, but Landry wants to be paid like Davante Adams. And I believe he can find that on the open market. Miami doesn't have a ton of cap space. After paying premium market deals to other free agents, they might want to say, you know what, Landry, we can find a slot guy to replace you at a much cheaper money. Go see what you get on the open market. Come back, we'll talk. But if I'm a team like the Chicago Bears, I'm throwing money at Jarvis Landry. I think he is a perfect fit for Chicago. And remember, Cam, Miami did listen to offers in the preseason and at the trade deadline. Baltimore,
right,
your team, had interest.
Absolutely. And so it's only going to get worse at this point if the Dolphins continue to not engage in discussion with Jarvis Landry. That's the main point of contention for Jarvis, is that the front office for the Dolphins is not being very transparent about these negotiations.
They're not getting along well, and that does not bode well when it comes to contract negotiations.
So 3 Goodell heads for that, meaning more probable than not that Jarvis Landry will test free agency. Let's get to rumor number 2 here. Colin Kaepernick to the Oakland Raiders. And this story has a few layers to it. We're giving it 1 Goodell head, so small shred of truth here. The whole deal is, the report indicates that the NFL asked the Raiders to sign Colin Kaepernick because the NFL did the Raiders a favor with the Rooney Rule investigation, Tom.
This is a whole lot of stuff going on in this one, and this comes from Bleacher Report. I don't know if I actually believe this at all, frankly. Maybe there's a small shred of truth, and maybe Kaepernick does end up signing with the Oakland Raiders, but I think it's a little extreme to suggest that the NFL said, hey, we're going to look the other way on the Rooney Rule if you go ahead and sign Colin Kaepernick and get rid of this lawsuit for us. Like, I could see the NFL trying to do that, but I don't know if they'd kind of play heavy-handed like that with the Oakland Raiders. I just have a tough time believing this. Something doesn't sound right to me on this one. I do think Kaepernick will at some point get another chance, but I don't know if the NFL says, hey, go sign him, Oakland, because you really violated the Rooney Rule, and we're going to help you out, and then we're going to do it the other way. It just seems a little too conspiracy theory.
It does.
I'm tempted to give this one fake news.
I'm very close to it.
I'm very tempted.
We were very close.
But I do think there's a scenario in which Kaepernick does sign with Oakland. At that point, maybe the NFL actually did do it. I don't think it's likely. I think we're bordering more on like 1% than like, whatever, 25%, but I just have a tough time believing this one.
This coming from Mike Freeman of Bleacher Report, too. And, yeah, it almost seems like the perfect storm. Like, it makes too much sense to actually believe in it. So we're going to give this 1 Goodell head. We'll give it a little small shred of truth. Not completely fake news. Let's get into rumor number 3. The Indianapolis Colts will trade their number 3 overall pick. Tom, we're giving this 2 Goodell heads.
I think this actually makes a lot of sense. If the teams at 3 and 4, the Colts and the Browns, after assumingly quarterbacks go 1 and 2, or even if not, even then I think it helps the Colts. The Colts are not going to take a quarterback. They're not going to take Andrew Luck. But if you're a team like Denver, the Jets, even further down, the Cardinals, the Chargers, even maybe your Ravens, Cam, or the Redskins, for example, and let's say you love Baker Mayfield, or for some reason you love Josh Allen, or Rosen and or Darnold fall, At that point, all of a sudden, the Colts are sitting there like, yeah, who wants their franchise quarterback? And they become the Rams from a couple of years ago when they traded away the pick to get RG3, or the Browns and they passed on Carson Wentz. I think at that point, the Colts can get a lot in exchange back for that pick. They have a lot of needs, and what do they want? Barkley or Nelson or even a Roquan Smith or Bradley Chubb. There's a lot of guys that fit the Colts' needs. They can trade down a few spots and still get their guy or one of their guys.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, Tom, because the Colts are almost in an awkward position at 3 relative to their needs. They don't need a quarterback. And so at number 3, it would be pretty smart of them to trade back and stock up on those picks. And the report indicates that they really want to address the linebacker and cornerback position. So there you go.
And I think trading down, you accumulate extra picks, and you can use an extra second, an extra third, either and or both, or an extra fourth, and get more depth for a team that has quite a bit of needs on both sides of the ball, especially when it comes to the trenches, which isn't great in this year's class. I think there's going to be some decent value in those middle rounds, and the Colts have got to spend picks on those spots.
2 Goodell heads it is for the Colts to perhaps trade the number 3 overall pick.
Tempted by 3, but I think it's still firmly in that rumor category.
Yeah, people are talking, safe to say. Let's get to number 4 here. The Arizona Cardinals. They have a big question mark at the quarterback position. In fact, Steve Wilkes called it the elephant in the room. Will they make a big splash?
Does it become the elephant once you mention it?
That's a good point.
But either way, this is maybe no team in the NFL needs a quarterback more than Arizona because they truly have nothing. So it does make some sense there to try and get a quarterback flash, and that's why we're giving this one 3 Goodell heads, because it does seem pretty likely.
Yep.
More probable than not, as we like to say. The Cardinals just need a quarterback. They've got nothing right now. Palmer retired. Gabbard is a free agent. He's not any good. Matt Barkley a free agent. He's not any good. They don't have and Drew Stanton too, also not that great. They need a quarterback. Now, free agency makes sense. They can throw money at Kirk Cousins. They could go trade for Tyrod Taylor. They can go trade for Alex Smith if they want to win right now. Or Cam, and this is why it's 3 and not 4, because they're also not going to get Drew Brees, by the way. This is why it's 3 and not 4. They could make a splashy draft move. They could maybe trade up. They could try and go get a Baker Mayfield. They could sit and wait if Allen ends up falling.
They're at 15 right now.
I think that they could go make a big move for a quarterback, make a deal with the Browns, make a deal with the Colts. If the Cardinals fall in love with a quarterback, that's when you see them try and make a trade. Either way, I do think they draft one at some point in this year's draft. If they sign a veteran free agent, they got to get someone to groom behind him. So the Cardinals are going to get a quarterback, but it's only 3 heads because it might not come in free agency. It could come in the draft.
Now, I predicted on my show previously, Tom, that Case Keenum will go to the Arizona Cardinals.
Makes sense.
I think if the Cardinals somehow get John DeFilippo as their OC, that is a match made in heaven for DeFilippo and Case Keenum. And for Case, moving away from Pat Shurmur, I think that's best case scenario for that quarterback coming out of Minnesota there. All right, so that's the deal with the Arizona Cardinals here. Let's get to rumor number 5. The Baltimore Ravens cornerback Marlon Humphrey allegedly stole a $15 charger from an Uber, and he thought it was his. Tom, this is TMZ-like.
Yeah, look, we're giving this one 3 Goodell heads because there shouldn't be a lot going on there, but we're going to give him some benefit of the doubt. Maybe it just was a simple miscommunication. Maybe it was the accidental stealing. But Cam, you're a Ravens fan. What do you think of Marlon Humphrey doing this?
I'm not a fan because we already get enough injuries at the cornerback position. Why do we need somebody stealing a $15 charger? Like, what the heck is going on? And by the way, you could probably get a charger for free because you're Marlon Humphrey. You can walk around and walk up to a Ravens fan and say, hey, can I have that iPhone charger? And that Ravens fan, probably me, would say, yes, here it is. And there you go. He gets it for free. He doesn't have to steal anything. I honestly think this is just a whole kind of miscommunication type deal. And you know what? Alcohol was probably involved.
It was late at night at an Uber. Of course it was. I will just say this one more time. Alabama players, stop going back to Tuscaloosa. Only bad things happen when you go back. Don't go back there anymore. I know it's your alma mater. I know you still got some friends there. Stop going back. It always ends badly. Rolando McClain, now Marlon Humphrey, Reuben Foster as well. Only bad things happen. No more going back there. If I draft an Alabama player, I'm sitting down saying, hey, you are not allowed to go back anymore. Like, whatever is going on over there always gets them in trouble.
Stop it.
Can't do it anymore. Has to stop.
So we're giving this 3 Goodell heads because Well, he hasn't been convicted of the crime, so
Yes.
we can't give it 4 Goodell heads.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Exactly. That's the beauty of America. All right, let's get to the final news/rumor note here. This is essentially news. Vince McMahon revives the XFL. We're giving this 4 Goodell heads. It's happening.
He announced it. It's come back in January 2020. 4 Goodell heads. Ooh, maybe we should have done McMahon heads for this one. That'd have been kind of funny. That'd have been a lot of effort, though. I have a bold prediction that for you, Cam, and then I've got a conspiracy theory for you, too.
Oh, perfect.
Bold prediction. The XFL never comes back. They never play a game. That's my prediction. 2020, that's a long time from now.
That is.
I don't know if we're going to see the XFL again.
But the economy is booming, Tom.
The economy's booming, but the NFL's dying, Cam.
That's true.
Ratings are sagging. I don't know if we'll actually ever see the XFL. Another possible, this is very much a conspiracy theory here, you four. So take this with a very heavy grain of salt because, it is a conspiracy theory.
Does it have to do with the president?
It does not have to do with the president.
Okay.
It has to do with one Vince McMahon. Do you know where Vince McMahon was born?
I do not.
He was born in North Carolina.
Okay.
Pinehurst, actually.
Sure. Oh, there you go.
Do you know what NFL team has open ownership? It's the Carolina Panthers, Cam. What if the NFL says, hey,
you're right.
Hey, no competition. This is a monopoly. No other professional football teams. Vince, don't do this, man. Let's get you some ownership in the Panthers. Let's have you sell some of your WWE stock. Let's have you take over as Panthers owner, nix this XFL thing, and we'll make you an owner. How you like that one, huh?
You know what?
You can bring in Steph Curry as a minority owner, whoever you want. We'll make it the celebrity NFL team.
So was this just a big PR stunt?
Oh, well, hey, maybe. But, hey, you let Vince McMahon own an NFL team, I think he'll dump the XFL thing real fast.
We're getting comments.
Pure conspiracy theory for you, folks.
Nicholas,
totally crazy.
Appreciate the comment, my man. Agreed, XFL is going to be a joke.
Vince also said that there was going to be no players that have any kind of like DUIs or bad stuff, which would rule out Johnny Manziel.
Exactly.
But if it does happen, I think they'd find a way to let Manziel in because it'd be awesome.